Hi everyone. Uh, this is myself, Manu KP, working as a lecturer in Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering and Government Polytechnic Kushalnagar. So now in the session, in the sixth unit, it's a special motor. In the special motor, the reluctance motor in this session will be dealing. Before going to the reluctance motor, let me have a brush regarding the previous session, which was the universal motor. Yeah, the universal motor. These are the special motors. There is the motors which use for applications wise. Depending upon applications, we are using we have manufactured it in a different way. We have altered the original, the DC motor, no, the DC motor. That motor is been little altered so that it can make use for the application which we require for the constant speed, the high starting torque, the variable speeds, like this, and without noise. The various application we require for the respective of the applications will be altering the same the motor so that it going to feasible here. The universal motor, it majorly we see in our household things. One is the mixer, the food mixers, the food blender, and the drilling machines, the sewing machines. These are the various applications we come across in day-to-day life in the universal motor. And the universal motor here, there, it was the supply. We can give both AC as well as DC. It was working as a DC series motor. If you are supplying a DC supply, the direction remains the same. If you give an AC also, because the both same current flows through the both field and as armature, no. Hence, the direction remains same, unidirectional. Hence, we can use both AC as well as DC. That's why it's so called as universal motor. So this was our last session regarding the special motor. This was the first one. Now here we are going to have this session. In this session, the reluctance motor. Yeah, its name so called as reluctance, the motor. Hmm. So this is a picture of a reluctance motor. So we can see here, no, the stator part as well as rotor part. It will be completely separated and it's been showing so that we can able to easily identify the reluctance motor, the various parts. This is the rotor part in the first one, and the second figure is shown it's in the stator part. See how it looked like. It consists of various windings on the stator part, hmm, than the rotor part. These are the major difference we can come across in these special motors and slow and light variations in order to achieve the application which we are looking for that purpose. The main purpose of the reluctance motor is constant speed. The major application we use for reluctance motor is constant speed. The speed has to remain stable in the one single constant speed. It has to move, it has to rotate. For that purpose we are using this reluctance motor. Yeah, come. So first we say what's mean by reluctance motor. It is a single phase synchronous motor which does not require DC excitation to the rotor. See here it's a single phase synchronous motor. It's a synchronous motor which is running in single phase. A single phase supply is also is enough for this reluctance motor. And for the rotor, it doesn't require any kind of excitation. Any kind. You're not all using any excitation. Hmm. So the next point. Whenever a piece of ferromagnetic material is located in the magnetic field, a force is exerted on the material, tending to align the material so that reluctance of the magnetic path that passes through the material is minimum. So what is the reluctance is nothing but the opposition for the creation of flux. We call it as reluctance. So this is the reluctance motor. So here, since we are not giving any kind of excitation for the rotor and we are applying a single phase supply to the motor. So what is the purpose of the motor? It has to rotate and perform some operation. So electrical energy is being converted to mechanical energy. Here we are not providing any DC excitation. So the flux which we require to produce the torque, where we get the flux. So for that purpose, what we are going to do is the ferromagnetic materials. We are using the rotor part, no, it's in ferromagnetic materials. So that the flux is exerted on the material, which tends to align the material so that the reluctance of the magnetic path that passes through the material minimum. So that it comes to the path where the reluctance has to be minimum. To that part, it will keep on circulating and searching where is the minimum reluctance path. Hence, it will keep on rotating. The flux will be induced by this ferromagnetic material. The current will be supplied to the stator part. Hence, the flux and the current. It exerted on the rotor part. The rotor will keep on rotating in order to align itself in a path where the reluctance has to be minimum. So it will be in search of that and we keep on rotating. This is the principle where we are going to use in the reluctance motor. So next is construction part. See the how the reluctance motor look like. It's a cross section view. Cross section view. We are using the ferromagnet, right? The ferromagnet is the rotor part, what we said in the previous slides. The plus symbol which you see the first figure, no? It's the rotor. And the single phase, what we see the red, yellow, green, these are the phases which are we using. The terms, it's a stator winding. Here it becomes stator winding. The figure 1 and 2, we can both see here. Here the second figure we are using 6 poles. 6 poles is been using and the number of phases in stator winding. It's been shown here. So this is how a stator look like. What are the ways stator? Yeah, the stator means it doesn't have any movement. It will be completely stable, stand still, stand still, like a rock that we call as stator here. The reluctance motor consists of a stator carrying single phase winding along with an auxiliary winding to produce a synchronous revolving magnetic field. Okay, see here we are for in order to provide the rotating part, no? Rotation. We cannot achieve in only the single winding. Single we are setting a single phase. But rotation cannot be achieved. So in order to get the rotation, it has to revolve, no? In asynchronous speed. It has to revolve in asynchronous speed. Hence, for that purpose, we are using an auxiliary winding. This auxiliary winding and the stator winding will be in reaction working together in order to make the rotor rotate in asynchronous speed. The next one, it's rotor part, obviously rotor. Here we are using a squirrel cage rotor having unsymmetrical magnetic constructions. The salient poles created on the rotor must be equal to the poles on the stator. Note that the rotor salient pole offer low reluctance to the stator flux and therefore become strongly magnetized. The first one is the rotor we are using here, the rotor. The rotor is nothing but a squirrel cage. The squirrel cage and unsymmetrically magnetic construction. The one unsymmetrical, symmetrical means what? If you close our hands, no? If we close it, symmetrical. If you open it, this will be symmetrical. Yes. But here we are using squirrel cage rotor while providing slot, no, the providing slot in the entire rotor part, the screw cage rotor, the slots will be not equal. It will be unequal. It will be unequal. In order to achieve unsymmetrical magnetic. Unsymmetrical magnetic flux it has to produce. No? For that purpose, it's been considered in such a way. Another one is the rotor salient pole offer low reluctance to the stator flux. So the rotor it's rotating. It's a pole, no? Yeah, obviously it's a pole. Hmm? The rotor it's a magnetic poles. It offers low reluctance to the stator flux and therefore becomes strongly magnetized. So when since it will be resisting the low reluctance will be offering to the stator flux, obviously the rotor will get magnetized more and more so that it can able to rotate at constant speed at all the time. So what we'll be discussing about the construction of the stator and the rotor. See here how beautiful it is. The stator part and the rotor part they have mentioned. Can you see now? The first the rotor. Rotor is nothing but what? It's a rotating part, obviously. It's a rotating one. We are using a ferromagnetic material here. The ferro means it's a strong magnet. We are not using an electromagnet, but we are using a permanent magnet. And the stator part, the winding is in place. See the winding here. The stator part consists of the winding through which the current is being injected to the motor. This current will offer a flux. It the flux so that the rotor will start rotating in order to catch that revolving flux. In order to get the revolving flux, here we are using an auxiliary winding. Auxiliary winding will be provided in order to get the revolving flux, revolving torque. So this is the working. See the picture, the diagram. So we are giving the single phase supply itself here. The single phase supply is being given directly to the motor. So the stator part is the poles, the north pole, south pole, and all, vagera. And the rotor part, here the rotor we are using, it's a ferromagnetic material. The supply is never going to be given to the rotor part. The material itself is a magnetic material through which we can achieve the torque, the speed can be achieved. See the working. When single phase stator having an auxiliary winding is energized, this means the single phase winding, stator winding, along with auxiliary, both will be energized. Both. We cannot energize only the one. The stator itself, it consists of two things. One is the auxiliary winding and the stator winding. So both has to be excited. A synchronous revolving field is produced. So asynchronous, the field, no, the field will induce the north, south. We are getting earlier. It was all synchronously produced, revolving. Yeah, asynchronously revolving field is produced. The field will asynchronous. Why is asynchronous? Because the rotor teeth now we are not symmetrically using. It is unsymmetrical. That's why unsymmetrical revolving field, the field flux, it's been induced. Yeah. The motor starts as a standard squirrel cage motor and will accelerate nearly to its synchronous speed. So, what's the beauty of this reluctance motor is it will be running in synchronous speed, synchronous nearly to its synchronous speed. So the maximum speed which we are assuming, that maximum speed, the squirrel cage induction motor will be accelerated. Next, as the rotor approach synchronous speed, yeah, it will be able to catch the synchronous speed. The rotating stator flux will exert reluctance torque on the rotor poles, tending to align the salient pole axis with the axis of rotating field. Yeah. So the rotating flux will be exerted, the reluctance torque. Yeah, for obviously, no, for everything there will be reluctance. So the torque produced on the rotor part poles, no, it aligns the salient pole axis with the axis of rotating field. The field here, the field, the north, south, the field. Since we are using an axillary winding, we are getting a revolving or rotating magnetic field. The magnetic field is rotating here. So in order to achieve that, the rotor also get to align in the same direction where it's getting aligned. Hence, it will be running nearly equal to the synchronous speed. That's why we call it synchronous speed. When the salient pole axis with the rotating pole, hmm, it always trying to align itself. That's the major part. The rotor assumes a position where its salient poles lock with the poles of the revolving field. So the rotor assumes the position where its the salient poles locks with the poles of the revolving. When both rotating magnetic field, no, and the rotor will be trying to catch the rotating magnetic field. When both get aligned in single line, then get locked over them. Consequently, the motor will continue to run at the speed of a revolving flux at synchronous speed. The direction of this force is given by Fleming's left-hand rule. So the rotor will be rotating in synchronous speed in order to catch the revolving flux. Revolving flux. So the direction of the force is given by Fleming's left-hand rule. As I earlier told you, when you stretch the left hand, three fingers perpendicular to each other, or 90 degree. This is the Flemish rule, left hand rule, 90 degree. So this is the direction of current, direction of flux, forefinger, and the direction of rotation or movement of the machine. By using this, we can able to easily get the direction of current. When we apply mechanical load, the rotor poles fall slightly behind the stator poles while continuing to turn at synchronous speed. When the load is been mechanical load is been applied slightly higher than the stator poles, then slowly it will be turned at will continue to turn at synchronous speed. As the load on motor is increased, the mechanical angle between pole increases progressively, and the magnetic attraction keeps the rotor locked at the rotating machine. So in the mid only, as the load of the motor increases, we'll be using some application. The load has to be increases. We need to accelerate. So the mechanical load will be introduced. The mechanical angle between the poles increases progressively. The magnetic attraction keeps the rotor locked to the rotating flux. So they will keep on increasing mechanical angle. No? The mechanical angle will keep on increasing. This attracts the rotor locks to the rotating flux. If the load is increased beyond amount under which the reluctance torque can maintain synchronous speed, beyond, if you increase the speed beyond, no, load is being increased, then also the reluctance torque is maintained at synchronous speed only. The rotor drops out the steps with a revolving field. Yeah, the rotor no, step out with a revolving field only. The speed then drops to some value at which the slip is sufficient to develop necessary torque to drive the load by induction motor action. So this is the application. The main, I said no, the main here is that it's used for constant speed. Irrespective of the load, the speed always has to be constant. For this purpose, we are using this reluctance motor. First, the timing devices. For the timing, no, the timing device will keep on time, the clocks, the watches, the analog watches. This will be keep on rotating continuously. So at constant speed, the speed should not vary in the time. That's with the timing devices. The signaling devices, the signals for sending any signals. No, the motor which you use is reference motor, and the control apparatus for controlling the positions and the speed. We are using this reference motor. Automatic regulation. So the regulation in the speed will be completely balanced using this automatic regulation. Means if you have to maintain the speed at 1000 RPM, then the automatic regulation will be monitoring so that it will run at 1000 RPM only daily. Analog electrical meters. So in meters also we are using this reluctance motor, the control rod drive mechanism of nuclear reactor. In the nuclear reactor, in order to produce nuclear energy, the rod will be inserted, and when the rod gets consumed, it has to be lifted up for servicing purposes or to add some other new nuclear reactors. So for this purpose, the controller rod is developed from nuclear reactor. Then the hard disk. In the hard disk also it has to run constantly in order to fetch the information which we will be looking for. It will be also in hard disk. Now next is the going for MCQ question. First one, for which of the application a reluctance motor is preferred? So which of the application? Electric shaver, refrigerator, signaling and timing device, lift and hoist. Obviously the name is signaling and timing device. What the reluctance motor? We can send the signals and as well as in the timing device. The next one is the reluctance motor. It's a reluctance motor is a self-starting. It's a self-starting. It's a constant speed motor and needs no DC excitation or all of the above. The reluctance motor, no, it's all of the things. It consists of all these characters. One is self-starting, is constant speed motor, needs no DC excitation. For a rotor, no, it does not require any kind of DC excitation at all. So all these characters will be in reluctance motor. Next, the reluctance motors are singly excited, doubly excited, either or above, none of the above. It is singly excited, means single phase, it will be excited only with the stator winding will be excited using an what we call that one as axillary winding. Hence it's singly excited. Yes. The next one. Which of the following motor is generally used in toys? How toys no? Huh? The cars will be using the remote control cars, and the helicopters we are using the toys, or the clapping devices everywhere. The constant speed it has to run. When you press any button, it has to move at speed, constant speed. So here we are going to use a reluctance motor, not the hysteresis, not the shaded poles, not two value capacitor motor. The only thing we are using is a reluctance motor. We are using a reluctance motor. The next one, a reluctance motor is provided with slip rings, requires starting gears, has high cost, is compact. So it's a compact one. It does not require any starting gears or slip rings. It's compact one. Because we are giving supply straight away to the stator winding, and the rotor is a ferromagnet. It does not require any excitation. Hence, the slip rings is eliminated. The gear system is also eliminated. Since these two things we are not at all using, the cost will be also eliminated. Is it become compact and the cost is reliable. A reluctance motor is also called as dash. Single phase synchronous motor, DC shunt motor, induction motor, DC shunt motor. The answer is single phase synchronous motor. The single phase means we are applying only the single phase supply, AC supply to the motor, and it will be running at synchronous speed. Hence, it's so called as single phase synchronous motor. The next one, the ferromagnetic material is located in the magnetic field of dash in universal motor, stepper motor, or reluctance motor, or all of the above. The answer is reluctance motor. The ferromagnetic materials is only provided in reluctance motor, not in the universal, neither the stepper, only in reluctance motor, in order to produce that revolving torque without any DC excitation for the rotor. Next one. Initially, reluctance motor starts as dash, standard squirrel cage induction rotor, synchronous motor, servo motor, or none of the above. The always the reluctance motor, it starts as standard squirrel cage motor, squirrel cage induction motor, no, induction motor with squirrel cage rotor. The same principle, this reluctance motor also going to start. What this reluctance motor? In hard disk, this is dash motor. Shaded pole universal reluctance is the resist motor. Yeah. Here also we use reluctance motor. In hard disk, we're going to use reluctance motor. Since it has to run constant, we're going to use an reluctance motor, and as well as the what we call as sound noise. In universal motor also give very huge amount of noise, but in reluctance motor, since the rotor there is no connection for the separate AC excitation, will be running at synchronous speed. Hence, we're going to use in the hard disk drive, the hard disk HDD use a reluctance motor. The stator carrying a single phase winding along with an auxiliary winding to produce dash. The stator is carrying a single phase winding along with auxiliary winding. So the winding of a stator is consisted of the main winding as well as the auxiliary winding. So to produce what? Asynchronous revolving magnetic field, synchronous revolving magnetic field, synchronous stationary magnetic field, asynchronous stationary magnetic field. The answer is A, asynchronous revolving magnetic field. So, synchronously the revolving magnetic field which can achieve for achieving this, we are using main winding. Along with the main winding, we are using an auxiliary winding to achieve this revolving magnetic field which is asynchronous. Hmm. So this was the uh, session all about the reluctance motor. The reluctance motor consists of only the stator to which the supply is given, the stator winding along with the main winding we are having an auxiliary winding. The rotor is a ferromagnetic material where the DC supply is not at all given. So when supply is given as a single phase, it will be start revolving. What the rotor will start revolving since it's a magnetic material. So it will be revolving at synchronous speed in order to achieve that one. So these are the reference book which we use to get this one. This is the video, and these are our team members. Thank you. This session will be ended.